The story begins with a chilling scene where two men are strapped to gaming tables, their tongues cut out, unable to respond to the sweet blonde host dressed in red. She announces the start of another round in this twisted game, where the stakes have escalated to life and death. The players' relatives are now the bargaining chips, and with the press of a button, their fates will be sealed. The gruesome outcome: the relatives are executed, with no chance to escape the game's deadly rules. A few weeks earlier, the narrative shifts to a more peaceful setting. A group of friends, led by Jude, is on a bus, heading to a luxurious vacation on a paradise island. Jude has won a trip for 6 people by winning an online game, and he's brought his childhood best friend Andy, Andy's wife Kate, Andy's father, Jude's younger brother Henry, and his new girlfriend Heather. Tensions are already brewing in the group. Andy and Kate's marriage is on the brink of collapse due to Andy's affair, and the tropical vacation only serves as a temporary distraction from their strained relationship. Heather, on the other hand, is more focused on material things, hoping that Jude will soon start showering her with gifts once he gets richer. The group checks into a villa and receives an invitation from the hotel management. Meanwhile, Heather has her mind elsewhere, focusing on her future with Jude. At the same time, Kate and Andy continue to argue, with Kate refusing to take sedatives, as she prefers to manage her emotions naturally. She expresses her desire for Andy to support her more, so she can regain her trust in him. The next morning, the women relax by the pool, while the men have their own conversations. Andy thanks Jude for inviting them on this luxury vacation, but he is surprised to see that Jude brought Henry along. Jude confesses that his brother bailed him out financially after he racked up another gambling debt. While the women enjoy the sunshine, the men head off to meet with the villa's administration. They are introduced to the blonde host, who thanks Jude for participating in the game and offers him a chance to play a few more rounds, with the possibility of winning a staggering $20 million. This time, however, the game will take place offline, and the stakes are much higher. Andy is skeptical from the start, sensing something off about the blonde's offer. He is convinced there's a catch, especially when she explains the main rule. The players will be strapped to tables, and there will be no way to back out once the game begins. Jude, however, is blinded by the thought of millions and persuades Andy to join him for a trial round. The next day, despite Andy's growing doubts, the men arrive at the designated location where the blonde host explains the rules of the trial game. The first round seems simple: 2 buttons, red and blue. If both players press the red button, they split the prize money of $10,000. If both press blue, neither wins, and they must return the prize. But if one presses red and the other blue, the player who chooses red wins everything, and the other owes the company. The round seems straightforward, but a heated argument erupts between Andy and Jude. Andy suspects Jude of trying to deceive him, but eventually, the friends calm down and both press the red buttons, splitting the prize money. Despite Andy's clear reservations, Jude pushes to continue playing, his desire for wealth overtaking any concerns about the consequences. The stakes increase dramatically in the next round. This time, there are no monetary consequences alone. Physical pain is now part of the game. The host explains that if both players press the red button, they'll win $50,000, but they will each lose a finger. If one presses red and the other presses blue, the red button presser keeps their finger, but the blue player loses one. Both pressing blue means both players lose their entire hands and owe money. Despite the danger, Jude remains carefree, laughing at the absurdity of the game. But Andy, realizing the gravity of the situation, is panicked. He knows they're in deep trouble, but Jude dismisses his concerns as paranoia. When the moment of truth arrives, Jude betrays Andy, pressing the blue button and leaving Andy to lose a finger. The betrayal shocks Andy, but what's even more horrifying is that the host is not joking. The punishment is real, and Andy loses his finger, realizing too late how dangerous the game is. Jude's smug grin fades as the reality of their situation sinks in. They demand to be let go, but the host reminds them of the rules. The game cannot be stopped, and any refusal to play will result in death. The game continues, with stakes rising even higher in the next round. The prize now sits at $500,000, and the host delivers her signature line, reminding them that their choices are being watched by an unseen audience. The tension between the men reaches a breaking point. Andy, still reeling from the pain of his injury, confronts Jude, accusing him of always using their friendship for personal gain. Jude denies the accusations and reveals that he had secretly been helping Andy's sick mother for months, paying for her treatment to ease the burden on their family. The revelation is short-lived, as the host demands their decision. This time, both players choose the red button, splitting the money, but the price is steep. Both men lose another finger. While Andy accepts his fate quietly, Jude screams in agony, finally realizing the nightmare they're trapped in. As the round ends, Jude begins questioning the host's motives, but she remains calm, stating she is merely doing her job for a paycheck, with no emotional investment in the player's suffering. As the third round begins, the stakes skyrocket. This time, it's not fingers on the line, but the lives of Andy's father and Jude's brother, Henry. The rules are brutal. If both players press the red button, they win money, but their relatives will lose their eyes. If they both choose blue, their loved ones will be executed, and the players will become debtors. If the players choose differently, the one who presses blue will win all the money, and their relative will walk away unharmed, while the other player's relative will lose their life. A heated argument breaks out. Jude tries to convince Andy to press the red button, arguing that his father has lived a long life and they should give Henry a chance. But no agreement is reached. Both men, desperate to save their loved ones, press the blue button, leading to the execution of Andy's father and Jude's brother, leaving them with massive debt. Jude is furious, blaming Andy for Henry's death, though it was Jude who dragged them into the game in the first place. Yet, none of it seems to matter anymore. The game presses on. The fourth round brings even more horror. This time, Kate and Heather, the two women in their lives, are placed on the line. The rules remain unchanged, but the consequences become even more personal. If both men press red, the women will lose their tongues but walk away alive. If both press blue, the women will be executed. And if the men make different choices, the one who chooses red will lose everything, while the other takes all the money. Before the round begins, Kate, with a final opportunity to speak, declares her love for Andy, promising to move past his affair and be happy together, even if it means losing her tongue. Heather, too, seizes the moment, revealing to Jude that she's pregnant, hoping it might change his decision. The host, however, is unmoved, and the game goes on. Jude, once again, reassures Andy that they should press red together to save the women, despite the consequences. But Jude deceives Andy once more. He presses the blue button, winning the money. Heather is led away, and Kate is eliminated right in front of Andy's eyes. The betrayal is unbearable. A hidden camera watches the horror unfold, capturing every moment for an unseen audience, and the host announces that the game is nearing its final stage. Now that Andy has lost everyone he cares about, he feels numb, indifferent to what comes next. But the blonde host reminds him that Jude is still his best friend, and the final round must go on. The rules are eerily familiar. Pressing two red buttons will grant both men the win, but they'll each lose an eye. If one chooses red and the other blue, the blue player will get all the money, while the red player loses both eyes and becomes a debtor. If both press blue, the game will end, and both will be eliminated. Andy, filled with rage and exhaustion, declares he'll press blue. He no longer cares about Jude's fate and just wants the game to end. Jude begs him to reconsider, pleading for his life, but Andy's decision is made. As time runs out, despite his resolve, Andy can't bring himself to condemn his friend to death. Both men press the red buttons, winning the game, but at a steep cost. They each lose an eye, writhing in unbearable pain as the host announces the start of the final round. The last twist shocks everyone. Heather, who had escaped earlier, is brought back to the game. Jude is outraged, demanding her release, but the host dismisses his pleas. Heather is no longer just a bystander. She's now part of the game, and will have a chance to press a button. Andy realizes the futility of his situation. He knows Heather and Jude will try to save each other, leaving him with nothing. The final round's rules are simple, yet cruel. Andy and Jude are now a team, but only Andy can press the button. If he presses red, and Heather shows a red card, everyone will survive, and they'll split $20 million, though all will lose an eye. If their choices don't match, the blue player wins the money, and the red player faces death. If they both choose blue, all three will be eliminated. Jude pleads with Heather to trust him and raise the red card. He believes it's their only chance to survive, even if they lose an eye. Heather, seemingly emotional, begs Andy to press the red button. She reminds him of her pregnancy, pleading for a chance to raise her child with Jude. Her pleas seem to sway Andy, and at the last second, he presses the red button. But Heather betrays them both. She shows the blue card, wiping away her fake tears as she reveals her true intentions. Andy can't help but laugh, realizing how Heather had played them all along. Jude, however, is devastated. The truth finally dawns on him. There was no pregnancy, and Heather had manipulated everyone to save herself. The host thanks the players for a spectacular game, and the staff carry out the final brutal elimination. In the aftermath, the scene shifts. A new game begins, but this time, Heather is the host, donning the same red dress as the blonde before her. She addresses the players, asking them not to disappoint her, as their performance will determine her paycheck. The cycle of horror continues as new players are brought to the table, trapped in a twisted game of survival and betrayal for the entertainment of powerful patrons watching from afar. End the movie. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our other recaps and subscribe for more content, and leave comment below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.